thanks for joining me for another one of our First Fives. I'm Holly, and I'm the children's pastor here at Connection Point. So over the past several weeks on Sunday mornings, Pastor Aaron has been taking us through a series called Spring Training. And in this series, we're focusing on spiritual disciplines or practices that will help to shape us in the image of Christ for others. So this week, we've been working on the practice of simplicity. So that seems like it should be, simple, right? And I guess in a lot of ways it is, but to me, the more and more I listen and read and study and practice simplicity, the more I realize how incredibly crucial it is. I guess I never really took it seriously how important being single-minded in the way that we live and think and act really is. So let's come back to this in a second, but I want to share a little story with you first. So I've gotten lots of advice on parenting, as most parents have, and some were from really reliable resources, really credible people and books, and some not so much. But one of the best pieces of advice I think that I've ever gotten has come from my grandma, and her advice goes like this: say yes as much as you can, but when you say no, make sure you mean it. So the example was this: my aunt, who was living with her at the time, had some young kids, and she went down the stairs to do the laundry. And she said, no, don't come down after me, as her young son was following her. And he proceeded to follow her down the stairs. My grandma was just watching all of this. And she watched that even after he walked down the stairs following her, there were no consequences, there was no redirection. So when my grandma kind of asked her about it, she said, did you really care that he came downstairs? And my aunt said, no, not really, it wasn't that big of a deal. And then my grandma continued to give her the same advice that she passed down to me. When you say yes, mean it. When you say no, mean it. Because it gets confusing when you give mixed messages. So in Matthew chapter 5, verses 33 through 37, it says, again, you have heard that it was said to the people long ago, do not break your oath, but keep the oaths you have made to the Lord. But I tell you, do not swear at all, either by heaven, for it is God's throne, or by the earth, for it is his footstool, or by Jerusalem, for it is the great city of the city of the great king. And do not swear by your head, for you cannot make even one hair white or black. Simply let your yes be yes, and your no, no. Anything beyond this comes from the evil one. So in this passage, there's a lot of cultural and historical context that we don't really have time to break down. Otherwise, our first five would go from our first five to our first 55, and I don't think anybody has the attention span at this point or the desire to listen to me talk for 55 minutes about it. So basically what it's getting at is when we call ourselves followers of Jesus, we need to be people of integrity. That's it. Our words, our oaths, our vows, our commitments that we make, and the stories that we share should be truthful. That means full truths, not half truths, not partial stories. But I loved it when I volunteered in my son's kindergarten class a couple years ago, and I heard the teacher recognizing kids and specifically using the word integrity for the choices that they were making, the way that they were behaving. She wasn't backing them in the corner demanding the truth or honesty in a certain instance, but she was just acknowledging them for doing the right things when nobody was really paying attention. So simplicity in Matthew's writing is conveyed through our words. Not because we aren't smart enough to put together an eloquent stream of vocabulary, but because, again, when we say we're followers of Jesus, we have to be people that stick to the word. We shouldn't have to have eloquent words. People should know that when we say something, we mean it. We're going to follow through because we take our words and our commitments seriously. So our agreements give something to others and represent a very real exchange. So failing to keep our words steals something from the person we're giving them to. When our yeses become no's and our no's become yeses, then we steal at least the trust that that person has in us, if not something greater. It steals our ability to accurately reflect the true character of God. We not only do ourselves a disservice by potentially diminishing our reputations, but even more than that, we ruin our opportunities to be marked as people of integrity as followers of Jesus. Our words can be simple. They can be few. And they can be powerful when we follow through and make our yeses mean yes and our no's mean no. But I want to encourage you today that this is a journey. These practices take practice. But there is nothing more important than we will ever do in our whole lives than to grow in our relationship with God and allow Him to transform us from the inside out. So keep going. You're not alone.